So we were able to add an extra $31,000 cash collected to our agency in a single month. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact actionable steps that you can take to create similar big influxes of cash into your agency in a very short amount of time. Before we get started, if you don't know who I am, my name is Liam Casey. I've been an agency owner for over 5 years now, and I'm simply here to share what I've learned along the way so that you can make less of the mistakes that I made and simply scale your agency a lot more quickly. So let's dive right into it. So the two topics or strategies that allowed us to have this influx of 31K to our agency in a single month are these two things right here. Number one is having a strategy for maximizing referrals with an unexpected method that I haven't seen literally anyone else in the agency space talking about, as well as having ruthless follow-up and deal nurturing. So let's talk about these. So let me start off with the story that allowed us to have this 31K added in a month. And mind you, we're already doing close to $60,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And so in this month, we cash collected around 81, or I think it was 82K for the month once we were able to do this. And so essentially, we had a sales call with a potential client that verbally agreed to signing up with us. And typical, which often happens a lot, that someone verbally agrees, everything sounds good on the sales call, but then they ghost you, they don't pay, you're following up, and you struggle to get the deal across the line. And so this was a similar situation where a prospect verbally agreed to sign up for a 12-month agreement, and we pitched a 12-month pay in full arrangement. So they were going to have a discount for paying in full. This is another thing that I recommend doing because this gives you the opportunity to have big lump sums of cash in a short amount of time. And so what you can start doing is simply just presenting a pay in full option where you give a discount for them paying for 6 or 12 months upfront. And so we pitched our service at 12 months upfront, paying $12,000. And so this was a client or a potential client that verbally agreed to paying 12 months upfront. And so this was someone that was, I guess, like we put in high priority for follow-up in our deal nurturing and for our pending deals. And so what we simply did is we followed up with them relentlessly until they got back on another call and figured out what was holding them back to actually getting them across the line. And I actually pulled up in the back end of our CRM. So you can see here in the back end of our pipeline, we use Go High Level, that the very first time that they interacted with our landing page from our paid ads was on the 4th of December. And then it actually wasn't until we can see in our notes that we noted that Wayne finally paid, which was on the 4th of March. And they didn't actually end up signing up until, actually no, it was then on the 4th of March. It was close to 3 months later that it took them to actually sign up from the time that they had a sales call and opted into our ads. And so that just goes to show you that relentless, consistent follow-up is one of the keys to maximizing your client acquisition, because, you know, especially if you're running paid ads or if you're doing any type of outbound prospecting, all of the leads, the calls, the interactions that you're generating, there is so many leads in your pipeline that could convert over the long run with just proper follow-up and deal nurturing in place. Because what I see in the agency space is people have this ridiculously short-term mindset where we're generating sales calls and people either close or they don't. But the reality is that the vast majority of deals that you're going to close are going to come from the follow-up. And, you know, we've all heard that saying, the fortunes in the follow-up, and that is so, so true. It's about, usually in a high-performing sales team, that 50% of your clients and your sales are actually going to come from nurtured leads over a long time frame, as opposed to just brand new leads from sales calls that have been recently booked in, and a client's going to close or they're not on the sales call. So this is just a testament to why follow-up is so, so important. So what are some of the things that we implemented to make this happen? So client had a sales call on around the 6th of December. They verbally agreed to pay for a 12-month pay in full of 12K. Then they ghosted us. Then after 15 follow-ups later, because we can see here, you know, another huge tip is that, one, if you're not using a CRM for nurturing, keeping track of your leads, your prospects for your client acquisition, you need to, because proper note-taking admin is what allows you to have effective follow-up. And you can see the level of detail that myself and my team go to keep thorough notes for every single meaningful interaction and touch point. And so you can see here that there was about 15 follow-ups after the first interaction that allowed us to finally get this deal across the line. So like 2 takeaways and strategies is just consistent follow-up over the long run, and 2, taking effective notes. After some consistent follow-up, we revealed that paying 12 months upfront for that 12K payment was something that the prospect was having some resistance to. And so we ended up working out a deal where they were going to do a payment plan of 4K times 3 over 3 months. And that was finally the thing that got the deal across the line. So again, sometimes getting deals across the line is about figuring out what the real pain point is and what the resistance is for a client wanting to sign up, and making something work for them so that they're able to say yes. Sometimes it's about getting creative and creating a deal structure that the client's going to be happy with to get them across the line. So what are some of the things that you need to implement? Number one, CRM to track your pipelines, keep notes and set tasks. This should be a really obvious one, but so many beginner to intermediate agency owners don't have effective sales systems set up for their agency. And so you need to have a sales pipeline in place. There's lots of different softwares and platforms out there you can use. There's Salesforce, there's HubSpot, there's Closer.io, and there's Go High Level. I use Go High Level because we use it for all of our funnels and everything like that. And it makes it easy for our appointment setting because Twilio can be directly integrated. And I like how that we can see the entire customer journey in terms of all the touch points and activities with our landing pages. And we can see the entire customer journey going back and forth between our appointment setters, the call recordings, the SMSs and the emails that have gone back and forth. It just gives us a lot of transparency and data about the customer journey of how our clients are coming to us. Next is you want to have an appointment setter to do your follow-up. One of the best decisions that I ever made in my agency, which 100% contributed to a big lift in trajectory from how quickly we were scaling, was hiring an appointment setter. And essentially what an appointment setter does is either when you're implementing paid ads or when you've got a cold outbound team booking in a high volume of discovery calls, your appointment setter is purely responsible for scheduling sales calls for yourself and then eventually your sales rep, and nurturing all of your leads and all of your deals. And so we've got a very, not strict, but very organized daily workflow for our appointment setter, where it lays out the exact tasks that they have to do on a daily basis for booking more appointments, calling new leads, booking more appointments, doing appointment confirmations to increase our show-up rate, rescheduling no-shows to increase our show-up rate, and then as well as following up with pending deals to nurture them to the point where they're ready to get across the line and rebooking them in for a call. Like a huge amount of follow-up is one, just actually doing it. And as the founder of an agency, there's just no way that you can do the level of follow-up that's required to reap the rewards of what we're experiencing here, having an extra $31,000 come into the business in a single month. And so when it makes sense to bring on this appointment setter role is really when you're ready to start paid ads. But bringing on one of these appointment setters into your agency is going to obviously mean that there's a team member that has the capacity to do this level of follow-up. And so this is one of the biggest recommendations, is get an appointment setter into your agency. Next, have a pending deal protocol following up at least every single week. And so for yourself, your sales reps, or your appointment setters, you need to make sure that they have a clear responsibility that they're following up and chasing up pending deals. It should be on a daily basis, but depending on the context of the prospect and what conversations have been had, it doesn't make sense to just follow up with them every day for no reason, but there always needs to be tasks set to be following up with pending deals. Next is just have a pending deals pipeline stage. So I'm not going to break down exactly how we've got our sales pipeline set up in the back end, but you need to make sure that you've got a pending deals pipeline stage so that it's easy for yourself and your team to see, okay, who have we had conversations with that are still pending, that are still waiting to get across the line. And obviously those are some of our biggest low-hanging fruits. And so we want to prioritize reaching out to and following up with those people. Next is to do a reactivation campaign once a month. So what we do is we do a reactivation campaign once a month to all of our people that didn't close within the month, all of our people that are pending deals, and all of our people that no-showed. And so we'll send out an SMS reactivation campaign where we've got this automated response. And so an SMS will go out, and if someone positively replies to that SMS or email, it'll automatically move them into a new pipeline stage, and then our appointment setters will follow up with them to reschedule them in with a call. This is just a very easy low-hanging fruit thing that you can do to reschedule and book in extra calls from people that have already been through your sales process or already potentially considering working with you. And it obviously costs you nothing to rebook those calls in. And very, very often we'll have a few extra clients come in on a monthly basis just from doing that reactivation campaign. So those are the things that you can implement. So next is maximizing referrals. So most agencies simply don't have a referral system in place at all. It's just something that goes forgotten. And there's a huge amount of money being left on the table here because some of the easiest clients to sign are obviously referrals, people that your clients are referring you to. And referral clients often are guaranteed closes because they've come from a recommendation, and they're often some of the best clients to work with because they've been pre-vetted, and they often stay the longest as well, and end up having the highest lifetime value. So for us in this example that I just ran through, this client that signed after 3 months of intense follow-up and deal nurturing actually ended up referring to us immediately another 12K pay in full client, and then another 7K pay in full client. And so this was like actually a huge surprise to us, but it was such a big reminder and a wake-up call. It's like you're one deal away and then a few referrals away from a huge amount of cash collected into the agency. And so if we just kind of gave up and were like, this person isn't worth following up with, they're just dragging us along, they're ghosting us, there's no point, they're not giving us the time of day, we never would have collected this extra $31,000 in revenue. And so after we signed them up, they were like, I think you guys could help. Hey, we've got this other person. And these 2 other people ended up paying another $12,000 paid in full and $7,000. And so this all happened within the month, and we collected upfront an extra $31,000 in cash collected to the agency. And so the biggest mistake that I see agency owners making with implementing a referral system is that most agency owners don't know when to introduce a referral opportunity to clients. And this is why you're missing out on a huge amount of new clients into your agency. And so this is like the secret sauce and the key to implementing it. But clients, like your clients that you've onboarded into your agency, are most likely to refer someone else immediately after they've actually purchased and come on board as a new client. And so this doesn't make sense at all, because you would expect that it only makes sense to introduce a referral program once you've worked with a client for a good amount of time, once you've provided them results, they've gotten an ROI, and then you're like, hey, if you've got anyone else that could potentially benefit from our system and our service, let us know. And this is the commission and the referral structure that we've got for you. But I can't even remember where I read this, but it's something about just the buying psychology of customers, consumers, whatever you want to call them, that people are most excited about a purchase immediately after or soon after they've actually made that commitment, and they want to share with others in their network and kind of bring other people into a new opportunity or a new investment that they've made, because people want to have things to have connections about. People also want to feel valued and feel valuable by sharing something that they perceive as valuable. And so if someone has invested in your service, which is often not cheap, then your prospect must value the investment that they've made. And so other people feel valuable when they share other things of value to other people. That might not make sense, but that's like the best way that I can explain it. And so, because I know that when I've purchased, high ticket coaching programs or things like that, it's usually within like the first 1 to 2 weeks that I'm most excited to talk about the new thing that I'm working on, the new thing that I've invested in. And so that's why you need to strike when the iron's hot and introduce your referral program and your referral system to clients immediately once a new client comes on board. And so the way that we do this is we just have it in our onboarding process, and we just make sure that it's something that we cover in our kickoff and our onboarding calls so that our clients are aware of it immediately after they've signed up. That way, if they have anyone in mind, they can take advantage of that opportunity as quickly as possible. So what you want to do, a lot of people are resistant to giving up much for a referral program, but what I want you to take into consideration is what your real cost of customer acquisition is. That's what CAC is, cost to acquire a customer. And so when we look at acquiring customers at scale through paid ads, this is what it looks like. You're going to pay at least $110 to get a sales call booked with paid ads. If we've got a 20% closing rate, which is on average, it's better to underestimate. 20% closing rate is pretty average. And so we know that it takes 5 calls to get a new client. And so 5 times 110 is $550. Then if we've got a sales team and we've got a closer, then we have to pay out 10% to a closer. That's 10% of the cash collected gone. And then if we're using appointment setter, usually you pay it around 4% in commissions from the contracted revenue from an appointment setter as well. So that's 14% there plus $550. So let's say take a $7,000 pay in full client example, $550 in ad spend. Out of $7,000 is about 7.85% of that client value, plus the 10% from the closer, plus the 4% from the appointment setter. That's about 21% of the contracted revenue that's going straight to acquiring that customer. And so that's why in the agency business model, we can afford to pay more to acquire customers, because we have recurring revenue and our average client value can be significantly higher. But this should just give you a benchmark that at the very minimum, you're at least willing to give someone a referral or a kickback of around 20% of the contracted revenue, because that's how much you would have to pay to acquire a customer anyway. And as well, you didn't have to do anything in terms of running ads. No one had to take any sales calls, because referral calls are very easy to take. It's usually a guaranteed close. And so you really want to factor this in, because referral clients are the best. You didn't have to do anything to bring them in. And so you want to incentivize your clients for doing you that favor. I'm not going to break down exactly what our referral system is, because it changes every now and then, but we offer a flat referral fee on the initial contracted revenue, not on like the lifetime of the revenue for a client. And like I said, referrals are always better clients because they stay significantly longer. So what do you need to implement? Number one, you want to create a referral program based on your estimated cost of customer acquisition. Say for example, if you're booking all of your calls through organic right now, think about and if you're taking all of your sales calls right now, because we can often be put into a state of like a false sense of security when we're doing a lot of stuff. If we're booking calls through organic, if we're booking calls through cold outreach, we're taking in our own calls. We don't factor in our own time that we spend and how much it would cost to outsource all of those client acquisition activities. And so even if you're booking calls through like virtual assistants and cold outreach, factor in how many calls are we booking, how much are we paying our virtual assistant on a monthly basis, what's our historical closing rate right now, and what's our real cost to acquire a customer. Okay, if that's our on average cost to acquire a customer, we'd be willing to give similar, like a little bit less, or even a little bit more, depending on what it is, to one of our clients as a thank you for a referral for a new client. Next, make sure to present it in your onboarding process. Next, you want to present it in your check-in calls. Every single month we have check-in calls with our clients if they're on track, if it makes sense to. We don't just like blanket always remind them of the referral program, but it's something you have to consistently remind clients of, because it's very easy for clients to just forget. But then especially when a client has a big win, like I said, you want to strike while the iron's hot. We work in the real estate niche. Whenever a client secures their first listing from our services, then we always strike while the iron's hot and introduce and just remind them of our referral program, because when a client is feeling the best about our service, they've gotten a return on their investment, that's when they're most likely to refer a client. And so we strike while the iron's hot. That's literally it for this training. So the two things that you need to start doing is have bulletproof follow-up, look at hiring an appointment setter so that they can come into your agency and do all of this for you. Make sure that you've got a referral program in place and start introducing your referral program in the onboarding process. If you do these two things, there's no reason that every now and then you're not going to have these big influxes of cash, and you can take advantage of this for your agency. Lastly, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, there'll be a link in the description where you can book in a call directly with me. I've got a private mastermind dedicated for helping agency owners scaling to 75 to 100K per month. One of the things that we help you with is implementing a scalable client acquisition system where we help you set up and launch paid ads, get a call funnel set up, get an appointment setter into your agency, which will allow you to book 80 to 100 sales calls per month. Once you're up to that volume, helping you get a closer into your agency so that client acquisition is completely off your hands. This is the exact model that helped me scale my agency to over 83 to 90K per month. And I work with a small number of clients every single month directly. You're literally working one-on-one with me. So if that's something that you're interested in, you want to work with me directly, then use that link in the description to book a call, and we'll speak with you soon. Thank you so much. Peace.